Hello, Hallie with Handmade by Hallie here. Here's my next video. For this one, we will need an evergreen, a wintry, and a gold-tipped garland. We'll need two of the white ones, glue pot, glue gun, pipe cleaners, ribbons, and multiple sizes of ornaments. So the first thing that I've done is laid out my garland, the evergreen one, and opened it up so it's kind of flat on the back. And I'm going to use two of these wintry pine tipped ones. They have some red berries and pine cones. And what I'm just doing is putting one in the middle and using some of the pine tines from the evergreen base to kind of intermix these two. And I'm going to go all the way down to the end, cut off any excess, and then come back to the middle. So now that we've got half of it done, we're going to add another of the wintry green pine, and we're going to make it look like it's all one big piece. The evergreen base is about 8.5 feet. By the time I get this finished, I think we're 9.5 feet. So we're just mixing this in, twisting some of those evergreens together to make sure this stays. And after this, we have one more step for the base part. And then we will get started. This particular piece is for my home. Last year I took down my Christmas and decided to take it all apart so I could redo my designs. So we're almost down to the end here. And you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Now, like I said, I pulled the pieces apart that I had last year. So what I was doing is cutting off a chunk of glue that I found. It's quite easy to do that. So now we've got this all mixed in. And now what I'm going to do is take off my tags, turn over this green with the gold tip, and start cutting it apart. And what I'm going to end up doing is mixing these in with the other two that I already have put together. And I decided the wires on this are a little bit sturdier, so I get my big heavy duty. These are actually pipe cutting, but I can cut through pretty heavy stems through this with this one. So I'm going to get this all cut apart and get back to you with gluing this in to our base. So we have the gold tip one all separated. So now I'm going to put on the tips that fall off, dip it in my glue pot behind me that you saw in the video with the things that we need for this project. And the glue pot is the perfect way to glue these pieces in. So I'm putting these in kind of in the center and kind of opening them up and spreading out the branches. And I hope that you're going to like this video. This particular garland, I really liked the way it turned out. You could almost hang it as is when we get done putting this gold in there. It would be absolutely beautiful just like that. But we are going to add some ornaments and make a couple bows and kind of dress it up, but we are going to try and be able to see all the greens. So now what I'm going to do is just go in and put a couple smaller pieces here and there to fill it in so it's nice and full. And these three all together make for a really, really nice evergreen base. I will make another one of these pretty much the same and hang it outside my door on my front porch. So this project could be used inside or outside. This step I tend to do while it's laying flat. I could do my other steps while it's laying flat, but after this, I do prefer to hang it so that I can get everything in its proper place. And doing the glue pot, we tend to get some glue strings that make it so you have to kind of take care of those occasionally. But anyway, we're about down to the end here. Let me know if you're liking it so far. Okay, so now what I'm going to do on this one end, I've kept everything going the same direction. I want to mimic the other end, so I'm adding some of the wintry green facing the opposite direction. And I go in here with the zip tie to hold that all together so it doesn't come off. And then I will fill in with the gold tip and then come back with some of the standard pine that we used for the base, so the ends look as close to the same as can be. I think I added another zip tie there to hold everything in place. Sometimes using zip ties or pipe cleaners to wire things in makes them a little bit more permanent and makes it last a little bit longer. But then sometimes it's easier to glue things in. So here I get some extra pieces of pine, and I just dip those in the glue pot and stick those in and kind of make it mimic how the rest of it looks. And by the time I get this done, like I said before, you could hang this just like this, but we're not going to. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in a string of lights, and this is just white lights, and I'm just kind of zigzagging this back and forth, and I'm trying not to use the entire string of lights because this is the end of this lights is going to go up onto what I have on my mantle to help light that up, so it's all connected. So we'll get this all the way down and make sure I wire it in to stay at the end before we get it all hung up. So the next part I'm going to do is make 2 bows, and these are going to go on the corners where I'm going to hang my garland. And with this jingle bell ribbon, I'm going to do 3 bows, 3 loops I'm only doing 2 bows of this size. I will do a couple more smaller bows, but 2 of this size to go on this garland. I do cut one of my tails longer than the other. And then we're going to use this really pretty shiny red. And we're going to do 2 loops on each side. And then a long tail. And then we're going to do some gold. And just 1 loop of the gold. And then I'm going to use a zip tie and a pipe cleaner. Zip tie to hold it all together, and a pipe cleaner on the back to help attach the bow where I need it to go. That is my standard recipe for a bow. All right, so here we have it hung. And it is a little bit hard to get it hung exactly right, and I'm okay with the way that one side is just slightly longer than the other. It's okay. And then I'm just going to put 1 bow on each of the corners. And then we're going to come in with our ornaments. I have these that I pulled off of my garlands from last year. It's a plain gold, a plain red, and then a red and gold. And I'm going to put these on first. And these I am wiring in with a pipe cleaner. So what I do is I string all of the balls all onto one pipe cleaner to hold them all together. And it makes a nice grouping. Then I will come back with a couple of larger ornaments and add those so it looks like it's part of this cluster of 3 will become a cluster of 5. So I'm just making sure that I have a long pipe cleaner on each of these groups of 3. Sometimes I've got a smaller pipe cleaner that's not going to quite reach around where I want it to. So I'm putting a full pipe cleaner with the groups of 3. And we're almost done with putting these groups. Now, this is a good project to show you how you can use what you have and add a few extra things to really push it over the top. So I had these groups of 3 already done, and I am changing out the ribbon and adding some bigger ornaments because that's kind of the rage and I really like it. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting a pipe cleaner on each of my ornaments and adding some glue to where the ornament hanger meets the ornament and letting that dry. Because if you don't, that ornament hanger will, the ornament will actually come off. And that can be a pain. You can put it back in there and add some glue, but it's easier if you add some glue to begin with. So here you can see I'm adding a larger red and a larger gold to the groups of 3. And at the video at the end, I have a picture and a video to show you a little bit closer view of what it looks like. And I did not use that kind of gold kind of mesh that I thought that I would like. And I didn't end up liking it because it hid too much of my garland. because I really like the way the garland came out with the regular pine, the wintry pine, and then the gold tip pine all together. Just that itself was really pretty. And so I'm really liking the way this turns out with just a bow on the corners and the groups of the ornaments, so you actually see a lot of the garland itself. Yes, and it can be kind of tricky to get him to stay where you want him to be. You see, I'm thinking, okay, which way am I starting with the gold or am I starting with the red? Decisions to be made when you're crafting. And all of my supplies, except for the green base garland that I already had, came from Hobby Lobby. And the ornaments that I already had, I believe several years ago, I got those other ornaments at Big Lots. So getting everything in place and getting the last two down here on the end, kind of underneath the bow. And this will look really nice at night. And I like to kind of wind the ribbons around and make them kind of curly. And here you go, you have the finished project. You can see the ribbon. You can see my mantle. Now what I did do is I went in and added some more of the gold tip along the top edge, because the way that it hangs, you had kind of an empty space. Thanks for watching. See you next time.